This isn't fiction. This really happened. 12 years old boys were turned into assassins. And somehow, they were made to want it. This is not just a story. They had a name. Hashashin. 11th century, Persia. A real secret order of assassins that shook the world. They were led by a man known as the Old Man of the Mountain, Hassan-i-Sabah. From an impregnable fortress built on sheer cliffs, Alamut Castle, he built a group bound by absolute obedience, unafraid of death. This very order became the model for the world-famous series, Assassin's Creed. Hooded figures, living in the shadows, silently eliminating their targets. But the reality was fundamentally different from the game. They were not cool assassins fighting for freedom, for absolute loyalty to their master. They would not hesitate to give up their own lives. They were a group consumed by madness. In their world, there was no such thing as retreat. There was only success, and the death that followed. So why were they able to throw their lives away so easily? Behind it all was a forbidden method of indoctrination, devised by Hassan-i-Sabah. That was beyond anything you could imagine. They were, first of all, carefully selected boys. Many of them were still young, in vulnerable positions within society. Young, pure, and unfamiliar with doubt. Those were the boys brought into the order. But what awaited them there was no ordinary training. It was something far more deliberate. A complete reshaping. An education. Loyalty was beaten into them. Fear was planted. Faith, carefully embedded. But that alone is not enough to make a man throw away his life. So Hassan-i-Sabah prepared something more. A mechanism. It was paradise. It wasn't just an illusion. Deep within the order, completely cut off from the outside world, a paradise had been prepared. The boys were subdued by certain means, their consciousness taken from them, and they fell into a deep sleep. And when they opened their eyes, it was like stepping into another world. Golden fruits gleaming in the light, clear water flowing in silence, sweet fragrances in the air, and soft, gentle music echoing all around. And then, beautiful women waiting to welcome them. Is this heaven? For boys who had lived their lives in hunger and poverty, it was a sight beyond anything they could believe was real. 4 days. They were treated as the chosen ones. Anything they desired was given to them. There was no pain, no fear. But then, at the very peak of their happiness, their consciousness slipped back into darkness. And when they awoke, they were no longer in paradise. Only a cold stone prison. No light. No sound. No warmth. The boys screamed. They cried, begged, and pleaded. Take us back, please, take us back. And then, he appeared. Hassan-i-Sabah. Calm. Unshaken. That was paradise. Only those chosen by God may enter. Then he held out a blade. Prove it, and I will guide you back, once more. At the cost of your life. Why would he choose such a brutal method? At the time, the Middle East was in chaos. Powerful factions fighting for control. Hassan's forces were small and painfully weak. A direct confrontation would have been nothing short of suicide. So what choice did he have? He chose a different path. Not war, but assassination. He targeted the vital point of his enemies, their leaders. But to carry this out, one thing was essential. Absolute loyalty, without fear of death. Fear had to be replaced by something stronger. Pleasure. That paradise was no miracle. It was a carefully constructed illusion, designed to turn men into weapons. First, the body must be reforged. Climbing sheer cliffs, endless marches across barren lands. Food is taken away. Sleep is denied. relentless trials pushing them beyond their limits. To fall behind is to die. Only those who survive earn a body of steel. At the same time, their minds are broken and rebuilt. Fear, hesitation, even the instinct to survive. All of it is stripped away. To them, death is no longer something to fear. It is transformed into the ultimate reward. A return to paradise. And so, a perfect weapon is born, one that does not fear death. And the final step was mastering the art of assassination. To move unseen. To end a life before it's even noticed. To complete the mission in seconds and vanish into the shadows. They existed for one purpose only: to erase their targets. Living weapons. And only the chosen elite were made to believe this was their ticket to paradise. One day, a single assassin was given an important mission. The target was Nizam al-Mulk, the vizier of the Seljuk Empire. In broad daylight, he closed and threw a gap in the security and struck his target with a concealed dagger. The mission was completed on the spot. Moments later, the surrounding soldiers quickly surrounded him. But he made no attempt to escape. Success was always the top priority. And as a result, many of their operations were carried out without the expectation of survival. This incident sent shockwaves across the Middle East. Their actions were not merely acts of assassination, but a deliberate strategy, spreading fear itself to influence politics and military affairs. They were known as the Hashashin, and would later become the origin of the word assassin. Even after Hassan's death, the system he built continued to function for over a century. But in 1256, an unprecedented catastrophe emerged from the east. The Mongol army, led by Hulagu, grandson of Genghis Khan, completely surrounded Alamut. Those who had once driven blades into others now found blades pressed against their own throats. What was once considered a reward for the assassins, death, had lost its meaning. It was no longer an honorable end, but something far more brutal. The order abandoned the fight and chose to surrender. Alamut, once thought to be impregnable, fell. Its records and the truth of its inner workings were reduced to ash. And so, the utopia built by Hassan faded into the shadows of history, leaving behind only a legend and unsolvable mystery. But what he created, isolating individuals, offering pleasure, and imprinting a specific set of values, even transforming death itself into a reward. This sophisticated system of mind control has endured for over 800 years, continuing to exist today, only in different forms. And it is not something extraordinary. People can be shaped by their environment and by the values they are given. It can happen to anyone, even to those of us living today. Follow for more dark truths.